Hello everyone and welcome to ADHD with Davey D. I am Davey D or Davey Duke, whichever you prefer. Before you watch the video, there's just a couple things I'd like to apologize for. I have never edited a video before in my life. I have never even tried. This is my first ever YouTube video that I've ever made. So I apologize for the overexposure of lighting, that hideous orange text that flashes up on screen throughout the video. My horrendous camera. I'm using a Papalook digital camera because that's all that I can really afford right now. So it's a very basic setup and basically just for the dodgy editing to edit out my ums and tuts and stutters. But otherwise, I hope you enjoy the video. So enjoy the video, guys. Let's talk about ADHD. Basically, what I'm here to talk about is attention deficit disorder, or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I am a 34-year-old undiagnosed person with either attention deficit disorder or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. Yeah, that one. Either one, I don't know. Anyway, oh man, this is awkward. I am here to be part of the conversation surrounding adult attention deficit disorder. Or adult. That's not even a word. Adult. Adult attention. We get there eventually. Deficit hyperactivity disorder. There we go. Oh my god, I've had 2 fucking coffees. This is what happens when you're unmedicated. Jesus Christ. Anyway, basically I'm here to be part of the conversation and share my story. Maybe, I don't know, inspire others, because isn't that what we want to do on the internet when it comes to this sort of thing? What the fuck was that? Basically, if you don't know what ADD or ADHD is, ADD is the more inattentive side of the spectrum. Oh my god, there it is again. Of attention deficit disorder, whereas ADHD is the more hyperactive side of the disorder. It's sort of a big broad spectrum, very much like autism. And some people can have symptoms that are severe and it severely impacts them in every aspect of their life, or they can have very mild symptoms and they function very, very fine in life, have some quirks and need to make some adjustments to their lifestyles, but ultimately they can make it work. I probably fall somewhere in the middle of those two because I would consider myself more inattentive. Right, okay, I'm gonna edit that out for the rest of the video. I was never a hyperactive child. I was never a quote-unquote aggressive child, which is basically what they look for in children that they are trying to diagnose with ADHD. I didn't fit that stereotype, so I went under the radar my entire life. Despite all of the challenges that I was having growing up, all of the things that I just couldn't seem to get over. They just, no one ever suggested to me at all until recent years that I may have attention deficit disorder or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I said it, and I didn't stutter. So yeah, basically, I should probably go back to the start and let you know a little bit about me, because what I've noticed in my research, looking at other YouTubers and reading people's stories on blogs and such, people's stories are very different, but they're very similar. We all have this sort of similar sort of history of destructive behaviors that we just aren't aware of because we're not paying attention to them, basically. So, basically I should probably go all the way back to the very beginning. I had a very turbulent time in high school. It was horrendous. High school was just a traumatic experience for me. Because of that, it's left me with severe anxiety that has basically bled its way into every aspect of my adult life. And I've been medicated for depression and anxiety from the age of 15. I have also been under observation since the age of 13. They first noticed something wasn't right with me from the age of 13. They noticed, I mean, my parents especially, my mother was very concerned about my moods, and I was extremely depressed. I never wanted to go outside. I didn't have a lot of friends. I had a couple of friends, but I wasn't a very social kid. I could be with the friends that I had, but I didn't like putting myself out there in massive groups of people. I was also severely bullied in high school, which didn't help. So, I hated high school. I hated it so much. I was bullied in primary school as well, but in primary school it was very different because I had a better support network in primary school. I basically was the only boy in a group of all girls, and we all just had a fucking great time together. Excuse my French. So yeah, basically we just had a great time together, and we very much lived in our own little world on the playground, and I liked to play make believe and play house and reenact scenes from Sister Sister, which was my favorite TV show as a kid. And the girls were always down for that, and that was great. So if anyone did try to pick on me in school, there would always be usually a girl there standing up for me. So this is why I love women as well. I'm a huge feminist, and I owe basically my entire life to women because they kept me safe and protected me and helped me be strong. So basically, once I got to high school, everything just sort of crumbled from day one. I had so much trouble focusing in high school. I've started my screening process for ADHD last year. When basically the pandemic happened, I had just trained as a Swedish massage therapist. Christ. Swedish massage therapist. There'll be a lot of stuttering in this video, by the way, probably because I'm a little bit nervous, but generally I tend to do that quite often anyway. I trained as a Swedish massage therapist, massage, not massage, Swedish massage therapist, and I qualified in December of 2019 and started my own mobile business come January 2020. I did house calls. It was great. I absolutely loved it. It was for me as a business, I have had loads of different jobs. I've bounced from one job to the next because I would get very bored very quickly. It would stress my partner out to no end. So I decided to do this thing, become a Swedish massage therapist and massage. What is it with that word? And basically just go for it because it's perfect for somebody with, potential ADHD because there's so many different things you can do and it's very different. You get a phone call in the morning and somebody wants you at their venue like within an hour or 2 hours, and you get all your gear together and you go, and it's a great adrenaline rush. I enjoy it. So that was fantastic. And then the pandemic happened and my mental health basically just because I had to close my business. And I haven't practiced massage therapy in almost a year. So that really affected me, and my anxiety was just through the roof because I didn't know what was happening in the world and where I would be in the next year. So I went to my GP really concerned, and around that time my partner and I were kind of talking about, that I was potentially ADHD. I've been with my partner now for 10 years, and he's been very instrumental in basically helping me become a lot more self-aware and kind of look at the way I do certain things, my moods, the way, I would get extremely overwhelmed. I went to university. I didn't finish high school, but I still went to university. And basically after 2 years of university, I was ready to just fucking, kick it in. I want cake now. Kick it in. But I have a tendency to make up my own phrases, so, and none of them ever stick. Sticky cake. So I apologize for that. So I was ready to drop out of high school after like 2 years, and because I met my partner, who's is a very ambitious person and a very hardworking person, very organized, very prepares for the worst in every situation. So we're always prepared for anything. He's really good at that. He has a spreadsheet for everything. I'm the complete opposite. The complete opposite of that. Basically, he was really instrumental in getting me through my degree. And around the time when I met him, I was on Prozac, again being treated for depressive disorder, which I thought I had basically my whole life. I had an ADHD, it didn't. The Glinks. Do you know what it is? This fucking thing right here. And, you know, factor in to my brain at that point. I just thought I was just, you know, a basket case, a neurotic mess. So, you know, he was very instrumental in making me more aware of myself and having conversations with some friends that I have on the autistic spectrum as well. They sort of picked up certain things that I told them about my behaviors when I'd have conversations about this self-awareness I was developing. And they're the ones that suggested, you know, maybe you should get screened for ADHD and autism. So I told this to my GP, and honestly, I feel really lucky, really lucky that my GP took me very seriously, because instantly, not only did he put me on some anti-anxiety medication to help me out with my anxiety, which all doctors are very good at doing, he also referred me straight on to the mental health service here in Scotland, where I live. And, you know, that was fantastic. I had a phone call with the lady at the mental health service, which was like a generalized sort of mental health service, you know, kind of a place where people go for support with their everyday mental health. You know, it wasn't very specialized. But after an hour of rambling to this poor woman on the phone, like rambling about my entire history that was going through my mind at that point, from the first day of high school all the way to when I had my breakdown in 2020 at the start of the pandemic, she turned to me and said, "I honestly think you would benefit from speaking to a specialist in ADHD and autism." So she referred me on, and I got in touch with a specialist and had a couple of sessions with him, and he also spoke to my partner, because they like to basically not only speak to you and of your history, but talk to the people around you to see if, you know, to see basically if you're just not making shit up, I guess. So he did conclude that it's very likely that I am ADHD or ADD, because I was I rated very high in the ADHD screening test that they initially use on you to see if you're a candidate for screening. The behaviors and issues that I described that I had in the past were very consistent with somebody with ADD or ADHD. However, he didn't diagnose me there and then. He wanted basically to see how I got on with the anxiety medication, and to basically see if, you know, that was it. I recently just come to discover that that was not just it. You know, the last session I had with that specialist was in August of 2020 last year, and I've given a sertraline, which is the anti-anxiety medication that the GP put me on. You know, it's a low dosage, it's 50 milligrams, which, you know, I know people that are on like 150 milligrams or 200. The anxiety medication worked. It definitely improved my moods. However, instead of having, like, I think before the sertraline, I had a healthy amount of anxiety. So I believe there's healthy anxiety. And what I'm talking about is the kind of anxiety that motivates you to remember things. You know, remember this appointment. Don't forget you've got to do your laundry tomorrow. Don't forget you've got to, you know, take the dog to the vet next week. And you know, that would prompt you to, like, I would always have that anxiety would always have those things at the forefront of my mind. I was still terrible at, like, writing things down and putting things in my calendar. I don't even keep a diary for stuff like that. I just don't. You know, before the sertraline, I would have had that. So even though I wouldn't really organize myself to the very last minute, which obviously caused an abundance of stress, you know, kind of like gave huge potential for a massive meltdown, I still just pushed through it at the very last minute every time. And it was the same at university with all my assignments. Every time I would just pass through it, the skin of my teeth, very last minute, you know, because of this healthy anxiety that I would have. But of course, when the pandemic happened, the anxiety was not healthy. It was really bad. It had gotten really bad. Same thing happened after I graduated from university, because I just didn't know what the hell to do with my life after that, or where to go. Applying for graduate schemes was so overwhelming to me. I applied for one with John Lewis, where I was working at the time, as a... I got these mugs from John Lewis. I love this little mug. So cute. I got it in Portugal, in Sintra. It's a little wolfy fox. A wolfy fox. They have those in Portugal. Salesperson. And I remember getting to the interview, the video interview stage, and I just crumbled completely. And when I got rejected, it was the worst feeling of my life. I just felt so depressed, and like nothing was going to work out. Nothing was going to ever come to a head, you know. And I was never actually going to get anywhere, because my brain, it was like there's a wall that I just couldn't punch through. And so I just gave up and just continued to work in John Lewis as a salesperson. I bounced to 3 or 4 different departments because I got bored, and I found a lot of them to be very understimulating positions to work in, because that's retail. But I did enjoy my time working there, because retail, especially in a very busy environment, is great for somebody with ADHD, because you're constantly on the go, you know, and you feed off of the adrenaline a lot of the time. And that's what we love, because that is what our brain is lacking. Our brain is lacking the dopamine. That's why we are infamous for having impulsive behaviors, because we feed off of that dopamine, because our brains are craving the dopamine so much. I can't remember what my initial point was. Here we go. The infamous ADHD brain fog. Let me see. August. Therapist. Fuck. The sertraline, that's it. And we're back, people. So basically the sertraline stripped me of my anxiety completely, and instead of feeling guilty about not being productive and not feeling guilty about spending 16 hours a day in front of a video game and thinking I really should do something productive, like laundry, or take my dog out, or, you know, not just leave everything to my partner to do. It just made me feel better about not achieving anything. So it didn't make the ADHD symptoms worse, because the ADHD symptoms, it's clear to me now that they are very bad. And these symptoms include distraction, forgetfulness, a lack of attention to detail, jumping into things head first and not really considering the consequences. So making impulsive financial decisions. You know, I will, you know, for example, I'm also training to be a PT, and I still haven't finished the first qualification. It took me 2 years to finish my Swedish massage qualification, which, you know, should have taken me 9 months to do. But it's while the practical work and the physical work I thrive in, it's the academic work that I really, really struggle with. The case studies, writing those up, the theory, the exams, studying, oh Jesus. Talk about, you know, a lot of ADHD YouTubers always talk about how people with ADHD and ADD have issues with their short-term memory. Try doing a fucking exam. Man, I hate exams. You know, I can get an essay done, you know, granted I ask for multiple extensions, but when it comes to an exam, no, man, no, I just can't. There's a hole in my wall. I really need to sort this room out. So that's where I'm at right now. So I contacted my GP, told them that basically I'm coming off of my sertraline. God awful withdrawals off of the sertraline. I had a horrific time adapting to the sertraline. You know, I was nauseous, dizzy, throwing up, having panic attacks in bed for about 2 or 3 weeks while my brain settled with the sertraline. Coming off of them, it wasn't as bad, but I still feel like shit. Like, or like, I don't know, like if you ever got punched in the nose, it's kind of like that. You know, when you can feel like the pain just radiating through your skull. So basically, that is my ADHD story. So I've been referred back to the specialist because I'm considering going on medication because I've got a lot to do right now. I've got qualifications I need to get. I've got a business project I'm working on with my partner. You know, so even if the medication helps me just temporarily, that would be, you know, because I am a smart person. I am a very, very smart person. I honestly I believe that I am. I've never always felt that way. Definitely not. I've, in fact, just felt stupid my entire life. But I now know that I am, with what I have been able to achieve, and from what friends have said to me, that I am a smart person. A smart person who was wearing snowman socks in March. Legs. Snowman? I don't know actually. Oh wait, no, they're little Santa Clauses. And you know, another thing with ADD and ADHD, having gone under the radar pretty much my entire life. I grew up in Northern Ireland and a small town there, and ADHD really was not something that people really took seriously, you know, back in the late 90s, early noughties. I don't really know what the case is these days because I haven't lived there for quite a while, but I do know that family members of mine are now being diagnosed. I have cousins that are being diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome in their 40s. I have cousins whose children are being diagnosed with ADHD. I have two nephews that are both on the autistic spectrum, and one of them is ADHD. So there's definitely a genetic element to it. And now I'm even looking at one of my parents, and I know now, from what I know about ADHD and ADD, that they are definitely ADD, just like me. But I'm not going to tell you which one. Dad, it's my dad. I mean. The lime in the coconut, and she get all up, put the lime in the coconut. So basically, that is my story. And I've wanted to do these YouTube videos for a long time. I've really wanted to do something like this for a really, really long time and learn about video editing and things like that. But as I've briefly touched on, the problem with someone with ADD and ADHD is that we tend to have a T-Rex brain. So basically, when it comes to a task or something like that, we go all in. We're like, oh yes, I can achieve this. I'm gonna do all of these things and become amazing at it, and just really, really go for it. We don't set realistic expectations for ourselves. That is the issue, and that is something that my partner has definitely noticed about me. I wanted to be an actor, a director, a producer, a writer. I still want to be a writer. A veterinarian, a vet nurse, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a criminal psychologist, a hairdresser, a Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I've wanted to have all these amazing careers and do all these amazing things, and now I'm going to go be a farmer. That's, as well as being a massage therapist, a personal trainer. I've got two terriers, that are half Jack Russell, and they're just like me. When I look at them, I see ADHD. So if you want to simplify ADHD, look at a Jack Russell Terrier, because that's where you'll find it. So yeah, so I'm trying not to make this video too long. It's my very first YouTube video. I don't know if any of that made sense. I have a tendency to ramble and go from one topic to the next. and not really speak coherently. So that is something that I will work on going forward with these videos, because there's so much that I want to give my take on when it comes to ADHD and ADD, and different coping mechanisms and things that we can do just to make our lives a bit easier. Because like I said, we tend to set really unrealistic expectations for ourselves. So this video is going to be very simple. I'm not going to try to be too OTT with it. I'm just going to try to do the best I can, take it one step at a time and grow from there. So yeah guys, thanks very much for watching this video. If you like it, subscribe, because there will be more content to come. And do share it if you find it funny at all. That's even better. And leave some comments below as well about what you think and how you feel about ADD and ADHD, or if you are currently going through the screening process yourself, or if you have, and it would be awesome to hear your stories. So yeah.